Hi, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we are going to discuss 4 signs that the widower you're dating is using you as a therapist instead of as a girlfriend. This is a common query I get in emails and in coaching sessions, women wanting to know, is he dating for the right reasons, or is he dating just kind of for free therapy? And that's what we're going to discuss today. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that pretty much all widowers date because they miss having someone in their life, right? They're lonely, they want someone in their life. Nothing wrong with that. Non-widowers date for that reason as well, right? They want someone in their life, they want something to share it with. That is not the issue here. The issue is, why are they dating again? Are they dating again because they're ready to open their heart and start a new chapter with someone? Or are they dating again because there's a wife-shaped hole in their heart and they want someone to fill that hole? So there's a difference. We'll kind of get into that a little bit, and you can start to really kind of pick apart why it is that they're dating again. Now, I do want to be fully transparent in this, in that the first serious relationship I got into after my late wife died, I was in it for the wrong reasons, and it basically was kind of a therapy relationship. That wasn't my conscious thought that, oh, I'm going to use this woman for therapy, but that's kind of what it turned into. And if you want details on that, you can read it in my memoir, Room for Two. There's a link down in the description where you can kind of read more about that book. So here we go. 4 ways that you can know if your widower is using you as a therapist instead of a girlfriend. So number 4 is you have a lot of one-sided conversations. So if you are getting to know a widower and the conversations really revolve around him and his grief, memories of the late wife, maybe emotional struggles that they're having, and there's not really a lot of room to share information, or he doesn't really seem to be interested in getting to know you, that is a prime sign that he is using you as a therapist. Because if you think about it, when you go to therapy, you're sharing feelings and thoughts and memories, and I don't know, hopefully you're with somebody that can kind of help you move forward through that. But you have to understand that if there's very little interest into your life, into what it is that you do, and it seems to be primarily around him and where he's at. And again, there's nothing wrong with understanding where the widower is at emotionally, but it's that, what is the primary focus of the conversations and stuff when you're dating? Is it on him and where he's at, or is it on getting to know you and trying to build a chapter? So if you're with a widower who's having a lot of one-sided conversations and just seems to want to talk about his grief and where he's at and struggles that he's going through, and again, not that those aren't important to know, but if that's the primary thing of conversation there, probably a sign that he's using you as a therapist and not a girlfriend. Number 3, he frequently shares intimate details about their relationship with his late wife, and he does a lot of comparing. So he compares you to them. So for example, he maybe shares a lot about their sex life, or if there was issues in their marriage, such as abuse or addiction issues, things like that. He's going into detail about it. And again, not that you shouldn't know. For example, if there was, like the late wife was an alcoholic or something, there's issues with alcohol, yes, you need to know that. But again, it's how much detail is he going into, and how much information is he really giving you about that. Really, there has to be some boundaries here. And I think the bigger issue is also maybe you feel compared. So whatever, you're going out and he's like, oh, the late wife liked to do this, the late wife wanted to do that, oh, this is something that the late wife liked. And again, it may not be a conscious thing that he's comparing, but especially if you feel compared, he's sharing a lot of intimate details and you're feeling compared to the late wife, that's probably a sign he's using you as a therapist, using you as a sounding board there. Do you like this, do you like that? And really, the widower should be getting to know you for who you are, and not for who the late wife was. And again, there's some boundaries that need to be set up, not that he can't discuss these things, because I think to some extent you need to know a little bit about the late wife. But if you feel constantly compared and he's sharing very intimate details about their marriage and their relationship, he's kind of crossing a line there. And it's probably a sign that you're being used as a therapist and not as a girlfriend. All right, number 2 is that you do most of the heavy lifting in the relationship, and the widower doesn't seem motivated to change that. I will talk to lots of people, for example, they feel like they're setting up all the dates, they're doing all the planning in the relationship. They're the ones that are kind of moving the relationship along, and the widower is just kind of content to sit back and let things happen. Doesn't really want to talk about the future or anything, just like, hey, whatever, you're running this relationship, just go ahead and run it. Things are kind of done on his terms. It's not a joint thing. So if you feel like you're doing all the heavy lifting in the relationship, guess what? You probably are. And that's a sign that the widower is using you as a therapist. He's lonely, and there's nothing wrong with being lonely, but he's kind of just kicking back and letting you do the work. It's a sign that he's really not ready to open his heart, that again, he's looking for a companionship and using that as a therapeutic means to dealing with his grief. And so you shouldn't be doing the heavy lifting in the relationship. You should both be actively engaged in it. And if you feel like you're doing most of the work in it, you are, and that needs to be addressed and changed. And the number one reason that you know that you are being used as a therapist is if you feel like you're a therapist. You need to trust your gut. Even if you can't define exactly why you feel that way, if you feel like he's using you as a therapist, he is using you as a therapist. And it doesn't matter if you can define that or not, but if something's wrong, something's wrong. I have done this a lot with coaching sessions, and I can't think of a time where someone trusted their gut and was wrong. So again, if you're feeling like you're being used as a therapist, maybe it's one of these three reasons, maybe it's something else, but if you feel like a therapist, you are a therapist, and it's time to kind of take a step back from the relationship and evaluate it and figure out where you need to start setting boundaries with the widower, because if you don't set boundaries, you're going to be continually used as a therapist. And the thing about therapy relationships is once the widower feels like his therapy is over or whatever, he's made enough progress or he gets tired of the relationship, you're out the door. And the last thing you want to do is be in a relationship where you've been a therapist, because you're going to feel used, and let's face it, you are being used if he's just using you as a therapist. And again, that's not saying that there's not therapeutic benefits to dating again, but again, what's the primary reason behind the widower doing this? Is it looking to fill the wife-shaped hole in his heart, or is it ready to open his heart? If your gut's telling you you're a therapist, you are a therapist. Now, there is one more thing I want to add. This is kind of a little bonus, is that I have seen it where women can turn a normal relationship into a therapy relationship, and that is when you become too overly empathetic. Obviously, you feel bad for the widower and what he's gone through and his loss, and there's nothing wrong with feeling that way, but you can turn what is basically a normal or a healthy relationship into a therapy relationship when you become overly empathetic and you encourage him to share things that shouldn't be shared. And again, there is a time and a place to share things, but be wary that you don't want to become overly empathetic about his situation, and understand that through all this, you need to expect the same behavior from him as you would anybody else, a single man, a divorced man. If you find yourself kind of crossing that line and becoming too empathetic, you can easily turn what is a healthy relationship into a therapeutic one. So that's a little bonus, and be concerned about that. So kind of check yourself on that. All right, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you have your own experiences with being used as a therapist with a widower. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and I'll see you all next Wednesday.